Hi, I'm Christine and I worked at Urban Ministries of Durham this year. Much of the inspiration for this speech came from an amazing TED Talk by Brené Brown called The Power of Vulnerability. The academic in me feels the need to cite my sources. Vulnerability is a hard thing to study. It plays a part in a wide range of emotions, from shame and fear to love, belonging, and creativity. Vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It is allowing ourselves to be seen, really seen, and it is the foundation for connection with others. In order to connect with others, we have to allow ourselves to be seen for who we really are. We have to tell the stories of who we are with our whole hearts and have the courage to be imperfect. We have to have compassion for ourselves and others, and we have to let go of who we think we should be in order to be who we really are. Only by being vulnerable can we ever experience real love, joy, and meaningful connection with others. In many ways, my year in the Johnson Intern Program has been a study of vulnerability. I spent the year working at the front desk of the homeless shelter at Urban Ministries of Durham. In this role, I witnessed people experiencing excruciating vulnerability every day. People who were saying, "I have nowhere else to go, please help me." It's hard for me to imagine a more risky or uncertain position than that. By witnessing their vulnerability, I learned to experience compassion in a new way. I realized how much courage it takes for someone to come into a shelter, to sit down with a stranger, and to tell the story of how their life has led them to this moment. Witnessing their stories taught me what it means to tell your story with your whole heart, to be honest and authentic about who you are. I realized that it didn't matter to me whether the person was mentally ill, had a history with drug or alcohol abuse, had a criminal record, or even if the person was very nice to me. Each person I met at the shelter had their own story, their own shortcomings, and their own strengths. By recognizing the shared humanity of everyone I met at the shelter, I realized much more tangibly that everyone is worthy of a place to live, meaningful work, food to eat, and connection with others. While I witnessed vulnerability in the people I served at work, I also experienced it at home in my community. I don't know that I've ever spent as much time in such a small space with as many people as I have with the 7 people in my community. These 7 people have seen me at my worst, when I was tired, cranky, moody, jealous, judgmental, all ranges of unpleasant emotion that lead me to feel the shame of being unworthy of love. But through that vulnerability, by allowing my community to see the good and the bad sides of me, I realized that my community still loved and accepted me, even when I was cranky. And I loved and accepted them, even when they slammed the door or refused to claim a dirty dish. That experience of being loved and accepted by people I dared to be my truest and most vulnerable self with has been a powerful lesson for me in my relationships with others. And if vulnerability is being uncertain, I don't know that I've ever felt a greater sense of uncertainty than in my spiritual life and my attempt to understand a greater power. For our first community spiritual meeting, we each shared a text from our spiritual tradition that described what we believe. I brought a text called The Divine Plan by Glenn Clark. The Divine Plan says, "I believe that God has a divine plan for me. I believe that this plan is wrapped in the folds of my being, even as the oak is wrapped in the acorn and the rose is wrapped in the bud. Although I want to believe that there's a plan for my life, this belief and my desire to live by this belief make me extremely vulnerable. I have no idea what this plan is, or who or what this God is that is directing it. But living with that uncertainty is the only way I know how to be spiritual." For a long time, I struggled over what to do next year. I wasn't ready to apply for graduate programs, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to Boston to find a job or stay in Chapel Hill. Through that period of uncertainty came a job offer to work full-time in the Marketing and Development Department at Urban Ministries of Durham, which I have accepted. When I started this year, I had no idea I would be working at Urban Ministries, let alone continuing that work after the year was over. Yet I believe that somehow this is a part of the plan for me in my life, even if I don't know where it's all going. Although I still struggle with vulnerability, my housemates can tell you that I was less than enthusiastic about having to get up in front of over 100 people and give a speech about my year. I am beginning to realize how fundamental it is to all the things I want out of my life: love, joy, and gratitude. I am so thankful to my experience in the Johnson Intern Program for pushing me to grow and for the important lessons that it has begun to teach me. Thank you.